I need to talk for first time with you. I'm trying to talk.
Lower your voice right now, or we're done.
I like it. You say
You want to
that
scream
right
at
now.
me?
Kris and Jeymi have finally reunited, almost half a year since they last saw each other face to face. Kris was only supposed to be gone for 2 weeks. Needless to say, they have a lot to talk about, but Kris doesn't appear to be in the mood to listen.
God damn it. I'm done. I told you to shut the up and you wouldn't listen. Done.
Kris's mood is like a light switch, and when she flips, it's terrifying. But before we dive into the screaming and the threats, let's figure out how we got here. So we left the pair in a really bad spot last week. It had been 5 months since Kris returned to the States, but Kris promised Jeymi that she'd be returning back to Colombia soon. And when we join them in this episode, we learn that Kris is finally going to keep that promise.
After 5 months, I'm finally back in Bogota. And it feels very different than the first time I landed at this airport.
I hate to state the obvious, but no shit. After the stunt that Kris has pulled, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Kris isn't being greeted by a happy, bubbly Jeymi. We know that Jeymi's been incredibly unhappy with Kris, and judging from the fact that she hasn't come to greet her at the airport, it seems like Kris is going to have to put in some hard work in order to make things up to her.
I was supposed to be here with Jeymi a month ago to celebrate her birthday, but my son got into some trouble and I could not leave Alabama.
There's just always something going on with Kris, isn't there? It's either the banks, or it's her health, it's financial issues, or it's a court date. Now it's a family crisis. Kris always seems to be involved in some kind of drama. She's always got an excuse for why she can't live up to expectations. She's either the unluckiest woman on the planet, or she's spinning stories and covering up for something. But either way, like the boy that cried wolf, everything she says now just feels like a lie. So where do things stand with Jeymi after all of this?
I really don't want to give up on our relationship. She's my wife. I spent 40 years looking for this love I have right now.
Exactly, Kris. She's your wife. She's the lady that you encouraged to quit her job under the illusion that you'd be starting a business together, only to then disappear for half a year, leaving her to pay for an apartment that you promised you'd take care of. Kris is doing her Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde act right now. How is this woman, the one who talked about how she's searched for a love like this for 40 years, the same woman who spoke to Jeymi like this?
You know, nothing's ever enough, so why would I want to talk to you?
You tell me bitch all the time.
Because that's what you're doing, bitching!
So Kris says that she's come back to figure things out and fix things with her wife. But I'm not entirely sure that I believe those are her real intentions. But we'll get to that later on in this episode. Right now, I'm just curious to see how Jeymi is bracing herself for this awkward reunion.
Me siento muy molesta, estoy muy enojada. Pero es la primera vez que estamos juntas después de 5 meses, así que no la quiero confrontar de una vez.
So I respect that Jeymi's feelings are confused and mixed up right now, but I'm not sure what else the two can talk about, except the fact that Kris has been gone and left Jeymi in a horrible position. Like, are they going to talk about the weather when there's a great big huge elephant in the room? Are they really just going to hug and kiss like nothing's wrong, when in fact everything's wrong?
Hi, my love. Hi. Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like they are just going to ignore the elephant in the room. They're just going to sweep this all under the rug for now. I guess they're both just keen to avoid an argument right away. Jeymi seems like she wants to fix things, but are they really on the same page?
There's a lot of things that I have to talk about with Jeymi. The things that we've had to deal with or we haven't really dealt with.
Kris wants to discuss some topics that the pair may have been avoiding. We know she's unhappy about the balance of responsibility in their relationship. She wants to change how financially dependent Jeymi is on her, even though that's only the case through Kris's own doing. On the other hand, Jeymi seems to want things to go back to how they were before.
Ella es mi esposa y el amor no simplemente se fue. Espero que podamos volver a ser las mismas de antes y que podamos arreglar todo.
The before being when Kris was paying for everything. I think Jeymi needs to readjust her expectations of what her marriage is going to look like. The lavish lifestyle that Kris probably promised her to impress her was based on lies. If she wants to be a trophy wife, she's gonna have to look for another woman, because Kris is not the Miss Moneybags she was pretending to be. But for now, it looks like the pair are just planning to get reacquainted. They're saving the big chat for tomorrow.
Tonight, I think it's going to be really awkward. In some ways, I feel like I'm kissing a stranger because there's just some very deep cuts that were made while I was gone.
Notice how Kris is viewing herself as the victim. I'm curious to know what deep cuts Jeymi did to her other than doubting her love. From our point of view, from what we've seen, it's Jeymi that's the one who's nursing the deep wounds. But Kris has yet to even acknowledge the damage that she's done. Armed with every excuse in her arsenal, she's convinced herself she's absolutely innocent. But after a good night's sleep, a night of just sleep, the pair head out to a pool to belatedly celebrate Jeymi's birthday.
Kris sabe lo importante que son mis cumpleaños para mí. Como no estuvo el año pasado, prometió estar en este cumpleaños en Colombia. Pero tampoco estuvo.
So Kris missed Jeymi's birthday last year because she got cold feet about their relationship, and then missed it again this year because of the trouble her son got into. Jeymi explains that she understands Kris has responsibilities as a mum, but she worries that Kris doesn't have the same responsibilities to her as a wife. But Kris has come armed with a pile of gifts, her favourite foods, and has set up a private pool party to make Jeymi feel special.
I promised her I'd make it up to her somehow. So this is what I'm trying to do. And red velvet, just what you like.
Jeymi's love language seems to be spending quality time. She's happiest when they're physically together, when she's spending time with Kris, which explains why this time apart was so difficult for her. So all of Kris's efforts to buy her favourite snacks and her cake and spend time with her in the pool are all making her feel loved and secure in this moment. It all seems like a step in the right direction. Bridges are being rebuilt right now.
Intro, me siento súper emocionada, me siento muy contenta, veo la decoración. Ver todo esto realmente me llena de mucha felicidad.
The girls actually managed to relax and have some fun in the pool, but I did notice how Kris's neck pain appears to have completely disappeared. If I had chronic neck pain and back pain, I'd probably try to avoid diving and landing on my neck, but maybe that's just me. So after all the splashing around, are they finally ready to talk?
I feel, can you lie to me? Because you promised me, I'm trying to understand your situation, your position, your problems, your son.
This conversation is a tough one, because where do you even start? Jeymi decides to bring up her missed birthday, but that's probably not the best case to make her point. Because if Kris's son really did need her at that time, it goes without saying that her children would come first, and Jeymi knows this. What Jeymi probably should have led with is why 2 weeks turned into 5 months, or how Kris left her to pay for their apartment on her own.
Because you promised me, don't worry about money anymore, but help me.
Kris's glare just gave me the chills. In fact, her entire persona changed when Jeymi mentioned money. Now, we know that when Kris first arrived in Colombia, she told Jeymi to give up her job. She assured her that she could support them both. But she subsequently changed her mind. Kris now expects Jeymi to work. She expects her to financially contribute to the relationship. But we also know that Jeymi's finding it very difficult to get a job as a Venezuelan in Colombia. So where does that leave them?
You want to talk about money, but the house you got
Kris,
is
I need
$150 more a month than what I agreed to.
I need you to listen to me.
I think it's unfortunate that the first thing that's been brought up is about money, but then you've got to remember, this was a huge issue. Jeymi seemed genuinely concerned about being evicted, being left homeless. Now, do I understand where Kris is coming from? Should Jeymi have consulted her before signing a lease that was over budget? Yes, absolutely she should have. What Jeymi did wasn't right. But did Kris make Jeymi feel like money wasn't an issue? Did she give her a false sense of security? She did. She was all too willing to act like she had the money. But it now seems like it was all an act. And now that Jeymi's telling Kris that she needs help to pay the rent, Kris isn't even letting her speak.
I need to talk for first time with you. I'm trying to talk.
Lower your voice right now, or we're done.
I like it you say
You want to
that
scream
right
at
now.
me?
Kris's split personality is showing again. Remember earlier when I was doubting Kris's intentions to genuinely fix things? Well, here's why. She keeps interrupting Jeymi, then gets mad when Jeymi stands up for herself. She's not actually willing to listen to anything that Jeymi has to say, and immediately gets confrontational, threatening to end their relationship over a slightly raised voice.
I like you say that because I remember and the last time I talked to you for...
Jeymi.
No, you cry to me and you get out.
I'm done.
Kris's reaction is drastically overblown. It makes no sense. What's she angry about? I mean, Jeymi's right. The last time we saw them on a video call, Kris raised her voice in a far more aggressive manner. That's the sort of hypocrisy, the sort of reaction that makes me think she's not serious about fixing things. Everything she's done today is all an act. It's all designed to make it look like she cares, but her actions say something totally different. It seems to me like she's looking for a reason to get in a fight and end this marriage.